Chief Engineer Sarah Chen stood in the control room of Nexus Station, watching with growing frustration as the holographic displays flickered and died for the third time that day. The massive space station, serving as the primary hub for interstellar commerce in the Orion Arm, was supposedly running on the most advanced technology in the galaxy. Yet here she was, dealing with another system failure. "Have you tried the quantum recalibration sequence?" asked Vexthor, her Meridian colleague, his crystalline form pulsing with what she recognized as condescension. "The new protocols should prevent these disruptions." Sarah bit back a sigh. "The protocols aren't the problem. The station's basic power distribution is unstable because we removed the physical backup systems last month. Those primitive copper conduits." Vexthor's crystalline surface rippled with amusement. "The Galactic Council's modernization initiative specifically ordered their replacement with quantum-entangled power channels. Far more efficient." "Efficient when they work," Sarah muttered, pulling up the station's schematics on her tablet. The old system had been simple: redundant power cores, physical wiring, and mechanical circuit breakers. It wasn't elegant, but it had kept Nexus Station running smoothly for 15 years. The new system was a marvel of alien engineering when it functioned properly. A warning klaxon blared through the station. Sarah's tablet lit up with dozens of red alerts. The quantum power grid was cascading toward failure, threatening life support systems across 3 sectors. "Impossible." Vexthor's crystal structure vibrated in distress. "The quantum failsafes can't compensate for solar flare interference," Sarah cut in, already moving. "Which is exactly what I warned the Council about." She ran toward the maintenance shaft, her boots echoing on the metal deck. Behind her, Vexthor called out about emergency protocols and theoretical solutions. Sarah ignored him. She had 8 minutes before life support failed in the residential sectors. 8 minutes to do something primitive. The maintenance shaft was cramped, designed when humans had first helped build the station. Sarah pulled open a hidden panel, revealing a cluster of old copper wiring and mechanical switches she'd never actually removed, despite the Council's orders. Sometimes the best backup system was the one nobody knew about. Her hands moved quickly, connecting bypass circuits and rerouting power through the physical conduits. Above, she could hear the station's quantum systems trying desperately to compensate for the solar interference. But down here, in the dark, surrounded by simple copper and steel, Sarah was doing what humans did best: finding a practical solution to an immediate problem. The lights stabilized. Life support readings returned to normal. Through her earpiece, she could hear the relief in the control room chatter. Though Vexthor and the other alien engineers were already discussing how to prevent such a primitive failure of their advanced systems, Sarah leaned against the cool metal wall, allowing herself a small smile. Let them talk about quantum entanglement and theoretical improvements. She knew that somewhere in the station's vast network of corridors and chambers, other human engineers had similar primitive backup systems hidden away. It wasn't about proving a point. It was about keeping people alive. Her tablet chimed with a message from Earth Command. "Priority communication. All human personnel, prepare for Protocol Omega. Detailed instructions to follow." Sarah's smile faded. She'd heard rumors about Protocol Omega, about humanity's growing frustration with the Galactic Council's dismissal of their contributions. Looking at the mix of advanced alien technology and hidden human engineering around her, she wondered if the galaxy was ready for what would happen when humans finally stepped back and let them have their perfect advanced solutions. The next solar flare was due in 6 months. By then, she and every other human engineer would be gone, their primitive backup systems removed as ordered. Sarah touched the copper wiring one last time before sealing the panel. "Let's see how well your quantum failsafes work then," she whispered to the empty shaft, and began climbing back toward the control room, where Vexthor would undoubtedly be preparing another lecture on the superiority of advanced alien engineering. But Sarah knew better. In 6 months, the galaxy would learn a harsh lesson about the value of keeping things simple, Sometimes, the most advanced solution wasn't the best one. Something humanity had been trying to teach their alien colleagues for years. Now they would learn the hard way, one system failure at a time. Admiral Elena Rodriguez stood before the Galactic Council's Crisis Committee, her simple navy blue uniform a stark contrast to the shimmering biotech robes of the alien representatives. The massive view screen behind her showed real-time footage of the Carina Nebula, where 3 massive solar storms were converging on the sector's busiest trading route. "The solution is straightforward," Elena explained, pointing to the holographic display. "We evacuate the outer colonies, establish physical shelter stations along the route, and use our solar shield technology to protect essential infrastructure." The committee chamber erupted in dismissive murmurs. High Chancellor Zurich, his energy form pulsing with barely contained disdain, floated forward. "Admiral Rodriguez, surely you jest. Physical shelters, solar shields. These are primitive 20th century concepts. We have quantum displacement technology that can simply shift the affected systems into a parallel space-time fold until the danger passes." Elena fought to keep her expression neutral. "Chancellor, with respect, quantum displacement has never been tested on this scale. The energy requirements alone are well within our capabilities," interrupted Council Member Thex, her crystalline form refracting light in patterns that indicated absolute certainty. "The Meridian Collective has already begun calculating the necessary quantum matrices. And the colonial populations," Elena pressed. "The displacement would need to be maintained for at least 72 hours. The psychological impact will be managed through neural dampening fields." Zurich's cut in smoothly, far more elegant than huddling in primitive bunkers. Elena glanced down at her tablet, where a message from Earth Command blinked. Final warning issued. Proceed as planned. She took a deep breath, knowing what came next would change everything. "Very well," she said quietly. "Then humanity formally withdraws from this operation. All human ships, personnel, and resources will evacuate the sector within 24 hours. The chamber fell silent. Even the usually bustling AI interfaces paused their constant calculations. "You cannot be serious." Thex's crystalline surface clouded with confusion. "Your species' participation, while primitive, is still required for basic logistical support." "No," Elena corrected firmly. "Our participation was requested, not required. Since our solutions are deemed too primitive to be worthwhile, we'll step aside and allow your advanced technologies to handle the crisis." "This is absurd." Zyrix's energy form flared brightly. "You would abandon millions because your pride is wounded." "We're not abandoning anyone," Elena replied. "We're offering to implement our evacuation plan for any colonies that wish to accept our help. But we won't stand by and watch as you risk billions of lives on untested technology." She gestured to her staff, and human officers began filing out of the chamber. On her tablet, reports were already coming in. Human ships across the sector were powering up, ready to begin evacuations for any colonies that would accept their help. "This is your last chance," Elena announced to the stunned committee. "Our shelters can protect everyone. Our shields work. They're not elegant or advanced, but they'll save lives." "We don't need your prehistoric solutions," Zurich declared, his form now a brilliant torch of indignation. "The quantum displacement will work perfectly." Elena nodded slowly, then turned to leave. At the chamber door, she paused. "When it fails, and it will fail, remember that we offered you a simple solution. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways." As she walked away, the council erupted into argument behind her. Her tablet chimed with updates. 17 colonies had already requested human evacuation assistance, choosing proven protection over theoretical perfection. In orbit above the nebula, hundreds of human ships were already moving into position. They would save who they could and document what happened to the rest. The galaxy needed to learn this lesson, even if the cost would be devastating. 3 days later, when the quantum displacement fields collapsed under the solar storm's assault, Alina watched from the bridge of her flagship as human rescue ships moved in to save the survivors. The Galactic Council's perfect solution had failed exactly as predicted, and now they would face the consequences of their arrogance. "Send word to Earth Command," she ordered her communications officer. "Tell them it's time for Phase 2. The galaxy needs to understand what happens when they dismiss human ingenuity as primitive." As her ship moved through the debris field of shattered quantum matrices and failed advanced technology, Alina knew this was just the beginning. Sometimes the hardest lessons were the ones you had to learn through failure. Dr. Marcus Way stood in Earth's global assembly chamber, surrounded by holographic representations of every human colony and outpost across the galaxy. The room hummed with tension as representatives from over 300 worlds waited for his announcement. Behind him, the wall-sized display showed a real-time feed of the Galactic Council's central chamber, where alien representatives continued their endless debates, unaware of what was about to happen. "The results are unanimous," Marcus announced, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "All human colonies, stations, and outposts have voted in favor of Protocol Omega. The withdrawal begins now." The chamber erupted in a mix of relief and apprehension. They had all seen this coming, had all contributed to this decision, but the reality of it still struck hard. "Display the Concordia incident data," Marcus commanded, and the holographic space filled with footage from last week's disaster. The Concordia mining colony, once humanity's most productive helium-3 facility, now floated in pieces around a distant star. Not because of an accident or attack, but because the Galactic Council had forcibly upgraded its primitive human safety systems with their advanced containment fields. The fields had failed spectacularly. Only the emergency protocols secretly maintained by human engineers had prevented total loss of life. "They called our pressure-sealed doors prehistoric," Marcus continued, his voice carrying across the silent chamber. "They replaced our mechanical airlocks with quantum barriers. They stripped out our backup generators in favor of zero-point energy taps, and when it all failed, they'd blamed human maintenance practices." On the display behind him, the council chamber continued its session, alien representatives arguing about theoretical improvements to their failed systems. None of them had even bothered to visit Concordia's survivors. "For 50 years, we've tried to show them that reliability matters more than complexity. That redundancy isn't inefficient, it's essential. That sometimes the simplest solution is the best solution." Marcus paused, looking around the chamber. "They've made it clear they're not interested in learning these lessons, so now we'll teach them another way." His tablet chimed, and he nodded to his staff. Across the galaxy, pre-positioned messages were being delivered to every alien government and institution. "As of this moment, humanity is formally withdrawing from all galactic affairs. Our colonies will maintain their current positions, but will cease all interaction with non-human governments. Our ships will return to human space. Our engineers will leave their posts. Our traders will close their routes." The alien feed behind him suddenly erupted in chaos as the messages reached the council. Marcus ignored it, focusing on his people. "We've prepared for this. Every human world has at least 5 years of stockpiled supplies. Our defense networks are fully automated. Our trade routes have been reorganized to connect only human worlds. We can sustain this withdrawal indefinitely." On his tablet, the first panicked responses from alien governments were already arriving. The Meridian Collective was offering unprecedented trade concessions. The energy beings of Proxima were promising to reconsider their stance on human engineering practices. "Let them plead," Marcus said, his voice hard. "Let them offer concessions. We're not interested in negotiations. This isn't a bargaining tactic. This is a lesson." He brought up a new display, showing the carefully planned stages of withdrawal. Within 1 month, every human engineer, technician, and specialist will be gone from their posts. Within 3 months, all human trade will cease with non-human worlds. Within 6 months, we'll close our borders entirely. The alien feed was now showing scenes of panic from across the galaxy. Markets were already crashing as news of the human withdrawal spread. Emergency sessions were being called in every major government. "They think we're bluffing," Marcus said, allowing himself a small smile. "They think we can't possibly follow through. They think their advanced technology and complex systems will easily replace our primitive solutions. They're about to learn just how wrong they are." His tablet showed the first systems already beginning to fail as human engineers walked away from their posts. A quantum power grid in the Carina sector was fluctuating wildly without its human-maintained backup systems. A hyperspace route was becoming unstable as human navigators discontinued their outdated safety protocols. "We gave them 50 years to learn the value of human ingenuity," Marcus concluded, his voice echoing in the now silent chamber. "Now we'll give them 50 days to learn what happens without it. Begin the withdrawal." Across the galaxy, humanity started its exodus from galactic civilization, not with violence or threats, but with something far more devastating: absence. The aliens were about to discover just how much they had relied on human primitive solutions to keep their advanced civilization running. Captain Maya Patel watched from the bridge of the transport vessel, homeward, as another human settlement disappeared into her ship's cargo hold. The massive habitat modules of New Eden Colony, home to over 50,000 humans, were being systematically dismantled and stored for transport back to Earth-controlled space. Below, on the planet's surface, alien representatives from 3 different species were making increasingly desperate offers to the remaining colonists. "They're offering us a seat on the High Council now," her XO reported, trying and failing to hide his amusement. "Permanent representation and veto power over all technology implementations." "Too late," Maya replied, checking the status of the loading operations. "They had 50 years to listen. Now they get to watch." Her ship's AI reported another quantum communication attempt from the Galactic Council. She ignored it, just like she'd ignored the last 30. The aliens still didn't understand. This wasn't a negotiation. The ship's sensors picked up a new alert. "Captain," her tactical officer called out, detecting multiple system failures in the nearby alien settlements. "Their atmospheric processors are starting to malfunction." Maya nodded grimly. The alien colonies had replaced their primitive atmospheric systems with advanced molecular restructuring fields 2 years ago. The only reason they had worked at all was because human engineers had secretly maintained backup mechanical filtration systems. Now those engineers were leaving, taking their prehistoric knowledge with them. "Mark those colonies for the emergency response database," she ordered. "Once their systems fail completely, they'll need evacuation. We'll be gone, but they should know who to call when their advanced technology fails them." Across her tactical display, similar scenes were playing out across the galaxy. Human mining operations were shutting down, taking with them the simplistic safety measures that had prevented disasters for decades. Trading posts were closing, their outdated market regulations no longer protecting against economic collapse. Research stations were going dark, their crude experimental protocols no longer ensuring the safety of advanced alien research. "Message from Director Chen on Nexus Station," her communications officer announced. "The quantum power grid is showing critical instability. Alien engineers can't maintain the system without the human backup protocols." Maya remembered the station's chief engineer, Sarah Chen, and her hidden network of copper wire and mechanical switches. Those primitive systems had saved countless lives. Now they would be removed, as the aliens had always wanted. "General broadcast from Earth Command," her comm officer reported. "Phase 3 is commencing. All remaining human personnel are to complete withdrawal within 48 hours. The bridge crew fell silent. Phase 3 was the point of no return, the complete severing of all human involvement in galactic affairs. After this, the aliens would be truly on their own with their advanced, perfect, and utterly unstable technology. "Captain," her sensor officer called out, voice tight with concern, "I'm detecting widespread failures in the galactic transportation network." The quantum tunneling systems are becoming erratic without human maintenance crews. The backups, her XO started, are being removed as ordered. Maya finished. The aliens wanted pure quantum technology. Now they have it. She watched as the last habitat module was secured in her ship's hold. Below, the alien representatives had moved from offers to threats, warning of economic sanctions and diplomatic consequences. They still think this is about politics. Maya mused, entering the commands to begin launch preparations. They don't understand that we're not angry. We're not seeking revenge. We're teaching them the most important lesson humanity has learned in its long history. What's that, Captain? Her XO asked. That progress isn't about having the most advanced solution. It's about having the most reliable one. She looked at the failing systems across her display. They wanted a purely advanced civilization. Now they'll learn why humanity never trusted technology alone. As her ship broke orbit, joining the vast fleet of human vessels heading home, Maya received one final message from the surface. The alien atmospheric processors had failed completely. Their perfect molecular restructuring fields had collapsed, leaving 50,000 aliens trapped in rapidly deteriorating conditions. Log their coordinates, she ordered. In about 6 hours, they're going to learn the value of primitive oxygen tanks and pressure seals. Maybe then they'll understand why we never gave up on the basics. The homeward jumped to faster than light speed, leaving behind a galaxy it was about to learn the hard way that sometimes the old ways were the best ways. Not because they were perfect, but because they worked. 6 months after humanity's withdrawal, Director Kira Patel stood in Earth's Strategic Command Center, watching the galaxy tear itself apart. The massive holographic display showed thousands of red warning indicators, each representing another failure in the advanced systems the aliens had been so proud of. Quantum power grid collapse in the Centauri sector, reported her systems analyst. 3 major habitats running on emergency power. The Meridian Collective's attempts to stabilize their network have failed for the 6th time. Kira nodded, marking the incident in her database. The aliens had finally discovered why human engineers had insisted on maintaining those prehistoric fusion reactors and physical power conduits alongside their quantum technology. Status of the Orion trade routes? She asked, though she already knew the answer. Complete shutdown, her economic officer responded. The AI-driven market systems have created 17 different financial crashes in the past week. The energy being's perfect economic algorithms can't handle real-world variables without human oversight. On the main screen, another distress call appeared. The Galactic Council's central world was experiencing catastrophic systems failures. Their quantum-based life support systems, freed from the burden of human redundancies, were proving unstable under normal operating conditions. They're requesting human technical advisors, her diplomatic officer announced, offering unlimited authority over technological implementation. Denied. Kira replied firmly. They haven't learned the real lesson yet. She brought up the footage from the latest disaster, a supposedly perfect alien mining operation that had collapsed without human safety protocols. No lives had been lost, but only because human emergency beacons were still operating in the sector, allowing rapid evacuation. Update from Deep Space Monitoring, her sensor chief called out. The quantum tunneling network is approaching critical failure. Without human navigation protocols, they're losing ability to maintain stable faster-than-light corridors. Kira watched as another section of the galaxy went dark, advanced alien systems failing one after another. Not because they were badly designed, but because they had been built with no tolerance for error, no backup systems, no simple solutions to complex problems. Director, her communications officer interrupted. Priority message from the Galactic Council. They're admitting they were wrong. The chamber fell silent. On the main screen, the Council's transmission played. High Chancellor Zurix, his energy form dim with exhaustion, spoke directly to the human race. We understand now, he said, his usual arrogance replaced with humility. We mistook simplicity for primitiveness. We confused complexity with progress. We forgot that technology should serve life, not define it. Behind him, Hira could see alien engineers reinstalling physical power conduits and mechanical safety systems. On other screens, alien traders were abandoning their perfect AI markets in favor of human-style supply and demand systems. Your people taught us something we had forgotten, Xerix continued. That the most advanced civilization isn't the one with the most complex solutions, but the one that never loses sight of the basics. We ask for your help in remembering how to keep things simple. Kira looked at her staff, saw the same mixture of satisfaction and concern on their faces. The lesson had been learned, but at what cost? How many worlds had suffered because advanced species had forgotten the value of reliable backup systems and practical solutions? Send word to Earth Command, she ordered. Tell them Phase 4 can begin. But this time, we do it differently. This time, they have to accept that sometimes a wrench and a backup generator are more valuable than all the quantum technology in the galaxy. As her team began preparations for humanity's controlled return to galactic affairs, Kira watched the aliens struggling to relearn basic engineering principles. They were finally understanding that progress wasn't about abandoning the old ways for the new, but about finding the right balance between innovation and reliability. Prepare a general broadcast, she commanded. Message reads, humanity accepts the galaxy's request for assistance. But this time, there will be no compromise on safety protocols, no dismissal of proven methods, no replacement of reliable systems with untested technology. We'll help rebuild, but we'll do it the human way, one backup system at a time. Across the galaxy, alien civilizations began the long process of relearning what humanity had tried to teach them for 50 years. That the most advanced solution isn't always the best solution. Sometimes, the best technology is the one that simply works, every time, without fail. The age of pure advancement was over. The age of practical progress was about to begin.